How's it going, dude? And welcome to BMR Radio. Tonight we have the Fallout series, the TV series, episode 2. With me tonight, I've got the crew. How's it going, crew? Dab Ninja, we'll check in with you first. How's it going? And what is your favorite companion in Fallout?
How's it going, dude? My favorite companion is honestly a three-way tie, but two of them are dogs.
Kinky.
So it's either Dogmeat or Rex, just because having a dog companion, in my opinion, makes the game a lot better. I know he's annoying.
Fallout 3 dog meat or Fallout 4 dog meat?
Fallout 3 Dogmeat.
Really?
Just because the puppies perk. Now, I'm not saying that my Dogmeat has ever died, but I'll give you a small story for this. I've went and did the Pit DLC, came back, went to grab Dogmeat from outside of Vault 101, and instead of saying, "Come on, Dogmeat, come with me," it got changed to "Come on, puppy, with me." So I think somewhere along the lines, my Dogmeat died upon returning to Vault 101, but I had the puppies perk, so it didn't really matter.
Oh, so it like basically.
If
Yeah, I
Dogmeat
remember that
dies,
perk. Like,
one of
if your
his
dog
puppies will
dies.
be waiting for you outside of Vault 101.
Yeah. No, that is a cool perk.
Other than that, I like Rex just because he's a robotic dog, and you have various of options to give him for personality, depending on what brain you give him. Other than that, my personal favorite for like companion is Nick freaking Valentine. I love having a synthetic, private eye, giving me all the sarcastic crap while I'm like capping feral ghouls or super mutants or synths, just because, well, I treat my Fallout 4 character like my Fallout New Vegas character.
Yeah.
I usually have some sort of chem addiction and shoot first, ask questions later.
No, that's a good one. Nick Valentine is a perfect companion. But okay, Banana, how about you? What is your favorite Fallout companion?
I really like Veronica and Joshua Graham.
Veronica and Joshua Graham. Joshua Graham only gets to be your follower.
I know, but
for a little bit.
But let me tell you how badass he is. If you go in there with him with the Shining Imperialist perk, yeah, you can just go in there and just like, the playthrough is so. I got it on my character because I'm NCR. So when I go to talk to a lot of these tribals, you'll see a lot of interesting dialogue.
That's pretty sweet. I haven't tried the Imperialist yet.
So it's a lot of fun. He's cool. Base follower would have to be, I like Rex.
Yeah. Rex is a good dog. And the quest for him is like meaningful.
I like the Fallout 4 followers, but to me what gets weird is like especially with the guys is like as soon as you like hang out with them too much, they all like you, and it's just like it's either like
hold on.
McCready, it's like,
McCready,
yo, can't we just it's like, don't you have a wife, McCready? It's like I really like you. It's like I'm a guy.
It's the apocalypse. It don't matter.
Always lonely.
They just have that problem. But all right, Snickerer. For the amount of Fallout you've played, what is your favorite companion in Fallout?
I was gonna be sarcastic and say Lydia, but I'll go with like the only companion I remember is from New Vegas, and I was wandering around the desert. I stopped at a motel, and there's this really grumpy sharpshooter guy who was hanging out there, and I've been told his name is Boone.
Boone.
So, he's the only one I remember.
You literally help him murder someone.
You help him damn near murder a whole town.
Justice. Yeah, no, Boone's funny. I don't mind Boone. Boone's pretty sweet. And he'll murder stuff. Like, the sniper's not a joke. You'll be like running, you'll be like, oh, I see a gecko, and it'll just be like, doosh, done. Like, he does his job.
Saw TikTok earlier, and it's like reasons why you should give Boone the anti-material rifle, and I'm like, say no more.
Right? Like,
title says it all.
There's no question. Here you go, Boone. Go to town. But okay, that leaves me and my favorite companion. Honestly, you guys convinced me with Rex. Fallout New Vegas, but also Nick Valentine. I loved going around with him in Fallout 4 and being like a detective. You always put on the trench coat and the hat, and you, like, I don't know, it was fun to role play with him. And then to do Far Harbor.
Oh, dude,
Okay.
the sarcasm dialogue options between him and Dima are like god tier.
And I haven't had that temptation. I just played so much of it.
I'm like losing them.
Yeah, you're really choppy.
So this is our Fallout now, folks.
Yeah. So now we're down to 3. How many episodes have you guys watched?
I've watched 3 of them so far.
I haven't even gotten to
Right.
watch episode 3.
I was supposed to watch it last night. I fell asleep. But
I guess this is hilarious.
Baby, come back.
Guys,
Hello.
Hello?
yes, I talked.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're better.
Anyway, sorry, we had some technical difficulties. Audio being dumb, but okay. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the episode breakdown with episode 2, The Target. So this episode starts out hostile right out the gate. It's pretty fun. It's not fun, but like
Yeah, there's nothing
there's
fun
like
about that.
these baby rats is what I thought they were at first, but you come to find out they're puppies.
Yep.
And in the first 5 seconds, they pick up the puppy and they chuck it in the furnace and they fry it.
Arr!
Yeah, and then you see on the wall it talks about incinerate newborns are under a certain amount of weight.
Announcer.
You kind of figure out that they're like testing, and you got like some scientists and stuff, very Vault Tech like. And then you see a scientist and he weighs a dog and he sees that it's under the weight, which means we just saw them fry the last one. Is he going to fry it? And then he kind of picks up the dog and dips. And then he goes back to his room in this like kind of big, what is it? Like a compound of like scientists and dogs. He takes this puppy back to his room. And yeah, what was like basically what was he doing in the room at that point?
All right. One thing I did notice that was kind of cool. When the dog was there, the dog's platform number was CX404. Not found. So not found. How
They're not
ironic.
found.
And so he's like hiding him. And so it's like the
Because he
404.
took the dog, so it's like the dog's gone. So
That is cool. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I didn't notice that actually either. But I think I think they're implying that this is going to be dog meat though, right?
More than likely.
yeah, because
I mean, it's the same breed, right?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't necessarily matter. You can get rid of that. It's the fact that it is introducing a dog character. Like, any dog character introduced throughout the franchise is more than likely the dog
dog meat.
companion you acquire one way or another. It might not be the same name, but who knows? Maybe it'll get nicknamed Dog Meat, because throughout the first, like, half of Fallout 4, the dog is just known as Dog.
This is true.
Until you get to Diamond City.
And then he becomes dog meat. But yeah, the compound looks pretty intense. There's like checkpoints and stuff in it, so I feel like they're like very military. I think there's at one point he sees like while he's walking back to his room, he sees like what is that called? A gurney go by. And on the gurney, like he sees like a giant hand like coming out from under a sheet. Like, do we think that that's like a super mutant or something?
This could be one of their experiments, because as Vault Tech and possibly the Enclave are, they do a lot of experimenting. They share a common goal.
Yeah, I guess. Who do we think these guys are?
This is supposed to be the Enclave.
But like, so yes, but when I rewatched the video, I was like really looking at the doctor's outfit, and I noticed that he's actually wearing a Vault Tech scientist outfit down to the core, because it like has the little scope and everything on the right hand side or left hand side that goes down into like its pocket vest right there. Everything about it is identical to the Vault Tech scientist outfit. But
Does it have the Vault Tech logo?
I didn't see a Vault-Tec logo on it, but they have Pit Boys. They seem like they're doing some experiments like Vault-Tec would do. But this would imply that like a major faction of Vault-Tec survived past the bomb.
But it could also make sense that Vault-Tec is also enclave with pre-old America.
Yeah, I guess they could be heavily into the Enclave, and so like, is the Enclave and Vault-Tec almost one and the same? Like, are they?
Yes, but no.
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out.
Because from what I understand is the Enclave is essentially the pre-war government post-war, if that makes sense. Like, that is the old government brought into the new apocalypse, and Vault-Tec is also a pre-war company. However, if we look at, like, Fallout 3 and stuff, the Enclave's notorious for wiping out complete vaults to get the data and, like, information that they need for it.
That's true. They're more of the boogeyman than we realize, right? I feel like you see that much more in Fallout 3 than Fallout 4, because in Fallout 4 it's the Institute. But really,
the only thing I have on that is something that happens later on. But no, I'm still like kind of convinced he's Vault-Tec because he knows. He knows a lot about the vaults when he talks to the girl. He talks like he knows a lot about the vaults, which only to me Vault-Tec would know. Unless
I can counter you on that one then.
Okay.
In Fallout 3, if you do the mission Trouble on the Home Front where you go back to Vault 101, if you sabotage the vault and force everyone to leave, there is an off chance that you can find a random encounter between Amata, the Overseer's daughter, and some Enclave officers. And she will tell them the exact location and coordinates of Vault 101, followed by her immediate execution. The Enclave has a way of getting the knowledge they need. Just like how the Enclave knew exactly where to find the player at Vault 87, grabbing the gun.
I'm sticking with mine because they have the Pip-Boy.
Okay.
I've got a different theory than all of you guys. But we'll get there, because, yeah, this episode has a lot to reveal. Okay, let's jump back into where we were. We think it's the Enclave. We think it's Vault-Tec. We think it's one and the same. We think it's neither. But so he takes the dog, he goes back to his room, and he's hiding the dog in his room because it was undersized, it was supposed to be fried. And he seems to have like some affection for the dog, more than you would expect from all these other guys tossing dogs into the incinerator. So like, this guy's already kind of different from everybody else. And then he starts doing like some science experiments, and they show time passing because the dog's growing up. He's got it running on a treadmill, and he's hiding it in the wall still. So honestly, not like the greatest life for a dog. And it's impressive that he like hid it so long. Then he's like trying to train the dog, and the dog's like not the smartest dog. It takes him a while to sit, which is contrary to what we saw before, where all those other people were like telling the dogs to sit and they'd immediately sit. But it seemed like those dogs had like some like, I don't know, like a chip or something, because it seemed like they were controlling him with a chip. So then you have right, like it seemed like that, right? Like they had some chip on the back of their head, and they were like commanding the dog via like brain waves or something.
See, and I don't want to get into another tangent of that, but I could explain a little bit of that because of Fallout 3.
Yeah, because of Fallout 3. I mean, think about Rex, right?
No, not Rex, but in Fallout 3, you can actually command a Deathclaw for a short amount of time via a control that you get from the Brotherhood of Steel that's been reverse engineered via Enclave technology that they use to control Deathclaws to fight for them. Because of the Broken Steel DLC kind of goes in depth on that. Which is why I personally kind of think this is the Enclave, but we can go to that later. I just know, like, that would be a good reference point to Fallout 3's Broken Steel, is that your player character can control Deathclaws via Mindwave and a remote, so, like, them doing something similar here wouldn't be that far off.
But if a lot of people could get their hands on a Pip-Boy, why would only they be the one? Why would the Enclave be the ones using the Pip-Boys?
Because I think they're also Vault-Tec.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking like they're like kind of. They're like both of them.
They're just like, yeah, and maybe there's factions, because the experiments were supposed to happen all over the wasteland, and they were supposed to be used going forward. Well, who's reaping the knowledge going forward? The Enclave, and then assumedly Vault-Tec, right? They got to be somewhere.
Which would have been just the government at the time. So, like, yeah, that would make sense.
That's what I'm saying. I think they might be both. So he's doing experiments. He thinks he's trying to like control his dog or whatever. And then he actually chips himself, which he makes look super painful. He wears like this weird hat thing and then like stabs himself with a giant needle thing in the back of his, like behind his ear, like into his brain. And then like
Did
electrocutes
take a big old
himself.
fat shot of whiskey right before doing this, though.
He needed it.
I noticed that because he even considers pouring himself a slightly bigger shot and then does it, and then immediately does this, and I'm like, oh, that's gotta hurt then. Like for him to sit there and contemplate, how drunk do I want to get?
Yeah, how drunk do I need to be for this to not hurt?
Well, you saw how big that needle was, and it's like, guys, I don't know. That's a big needle.
Dude, and the actor did a good job of being like, he's almost like emotionless, but like it's
Not?
very subtle, right? Yeah, right? Like you can see the pain, but it doesn't feel like he's crying out too loud, right? Because he can't. It feels like he's trying to keep all this secret too. I mean, the dog in the wall is kind of.
He gives me evil German Nazi scientist vibes.
He
all
does
over the
that.
place.
No,
So
you know,
the
I was
actor-
already thinking of that. I'm like, that's why this place seems like kind of different, because it's like all these guys seem kind of more like German scientists.
But they were all under guard too, right? So it's like they're forced to be doing science stuff, like possibly, and like they're all kind of like in a compound. And
Oh,
like,
maybe they're being forced from the Enclave. Who are these guys? Are the
Voltec
Vault-Tec?
possibly.
Yep. Because
It's all
we
could
know
be connected.
the Enclave, like Brad says, likes to get into those vaults. So if they're like working with the actual like people behind it, they could get into the vaults a lot easier.
We're gonna just cover every single theory possible that we have, guys. But
Not
anyway,
gonna break down anymore.
let's keep moving on this one. We haven't even gotten past the first section scene. So the actor's name is Michael Emerson, and he plays a perfect bad guy. He was the bad guy in Lost, and he was super creepy, super emotionless. You never knew what he was thinking, and he just kills it here as this scientist because you have no idea what he's thinking. Going forward, he did his tests. He like shot himself in the ear, and then one of the days that he's just working, a scientist shows up in his office, sees that he's hiding the dog, sees the stuff he's working on, and starts freaking out and pushes the scientist down. Michael Emerson. He pushes Michael Emerson down, and the dog comes out of the wall and kills the guy.
Dog absolutely just snaps.
Oh yeah, dog does not hesitate. It's been cooped up in that wall too long, and just goes.
Well, like any dog, they're gonna protect their owner.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
That's-
these dogs they're being raised in the wasteland.
Well, and
It's
it's
a little
also
bit
like
rougher.
definitely a German Shepherd dog.
Oh yeah, he's gonna do his job. But
See, and I think the very next scene where it like shows the blood on his hand, I feel like that's really great symbolism of that dog's actions now has put blood on his hand.
his hands, yeah, that symbolism is
Like,
pretty solid.
that's really great to show that like that man's dead because of what he did because of the dog.
Because
Yeah,
you
well,
chose to
you can
keep that
see it in his
dog.
face too, the sorrow that he has of like, oh crap, like this guy's dead. Like, look at him. He's a good actor. Michael Emerson's good. Well, the dog killed the guy, and basically now he's got to escape. So he starts running out of there, and he's taking the dog, and he's going through checkpoints, and then the alarm starts going off.
Wouldn't they find that at least a little suspicious?
Right, that's what I was wondering too. I was like,
There's
why are they
one
not worried
dude-
about this one dude, like, running?
Like, there's one dude moving against the stream of everything, and that'd be the one person who stands out the most.
And was the alarm like specific to his room?
Possibly.
Do you think that they would be able to like, oh, that guy's room's going off. We should go to his room to go make sure what's happening. But he somehow managed to escape.
I mean, I wonder what kind of, like, they obviously have something to put off an alarm. What triggered the alarm is, I guess, the question.
Well, it was the dude.
I don't know, are their pulses connected through the Pit Boys or something? So, like, if the Pit Boy, like, if the pulse goes away and the Pit Boy just goes offline and it flags, I don't know, the mainframe?
I mean, if they have good enough technology to make, like, brain chips to control animals, I'm thinking that they could probably have something that figures out that one of our people just died in the compound.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know. It's all theoretical anyway. So he's running out of there, and he's going to leave. And this is where we get a dope, like, I don't know if you'd call it, I guess it's not really like a cameo. I guess it's an Easter egg. Like, but the whole show seems like an Easter egg, right? Like,
It really is.
Fallout. But they have a mini turret rise up, and on it, it's got a little screen that says, please, what does it say? Please.
Calm.
Yeah,
Please
it says,
remain
please
calm."
remain calm. And this mini
mean a
gun is
sentry
pointing
turret?
at him. Yeah, a sentry turret. I apologize. But yeah, and it just
This
starts
guy even
shooting
play
at him.
Fallout.
I'm sorry, guys. I gotta go play more Fallout. We're gonna have to postpone the episode
this guy.
reviews.
Okay.
Yeah, Nick.
What kind of ammo do they shoot?
But yeah, so he's shooting at the scientist as it goes, and it's missing every shot somehow. And the scientist and the dog are just like trying to book it out of there.
It's because those sentry turrets were made by stormtroopers.
That's what it really feels like.
No, they're made by Vault Tech.
The kick on those things must be so like terrible that they're just the worst accurate. They're terrible.
You know which ones blow me away? The ones that you see in shopping carts in Fallout 4. Like, how do those not just go tumbling around the minute they start shooting?
Right, they click on those things. Like,
Well, those are for on the go, right? Like you get on a hill and you ride the cart down and shoot at your enemies.
Yeah, but it's going to end up pushing you back up the hill.
Listen, raiders aren't thinking about that. And it could keep you stable and you could angle. That might work out. That's how they counteract it. That's how the raiders do it.
They put it on the hill and just shoot.
They put it on the hill. But okay. That's the whole first intro part, and we've basically seen a ton of the scientists now. So we don't know his name. We don't know what he's doing. It seems like he just stole some stuff, but only because his dog killed a dude, and he runs away.
Which is a reasonable reaction.
Yeah. Now in the first episode, we saw the wanted poster, and it kind of looks like him. And I think they printed out the dog too, or do we see that this episode?
Yeah, I think I saw the dog.
I think they print out the dog too. So these are the people that are wanted, and now we kind of see why people. Dogs are people too. This is the people that we see that are wanted in the wasteland, and why everybody else is running around trying to find him, or at least the Brotherhood of Steel and the Ghoul, but not Lucy, but kind of Lucy. Anyway, all right. Moving into the next scene is Lucy. And last we left her, she had just exited the vault and was kind of taking it all in. And here she is again. She's walking on the beach outside of the vault, and she's taking it all in. They're playing Don't Fence Me In, which was perfect because now she's like, out in the open world. I really got the cool Fallout vibes here of like, you just left the vault and she's like exploring. She's seeing like there's a bunch of like ships washed up on shore that aren't doing anything. There's like a crappy little town that's all like blown out and like everything's like desert.
It looks just like the wasteland.
It looks just like the wasteland. They did a fantastic job. And she's never seen it before.
Going California almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
Honestly, though, like you're looking there on the coast and down on the coast, and I'm like, the Fallout games have never really given me much of a coastline. Like, I guess they give you the Boston one, but it's like,
you don't want to go in that water.
No,
and it's not the beach you want either.
No, and it's like I'd rather just be roaming like some desert sands.
Yeah, you want some dunes. They don't really have any dunes. Well, except for that one mod that you can download for Fallout 4. It's called like what is it? You bring over like the Mojave to Fallout 4 and everything gets covered in desert and all the trees are replaced with palm trees. It's not New Vegas. That is someone's making that though. Somebody's making that. It's
I
the
thought
actual
that one's already been out for a while.
Really? I don't think so. We have to look it up because I've been wanting to play that and I now have a rig that could probably play it. And Fallout New Vegas on the Fallout 4 engine would be pretty solid. But okay,
and they did one more thing. They did a lot of these shots because I thought it looked familiar. It's filmed in Namibia, like in Africa, and that's where Top Gear, I think, did a car special where they were driving along the coast of the desert.
Drove on the beach.
Nothing but sand and the ocean.
Interesting. So I thought they filmed most of it like in Utah, California. But I guess where were these blown out buildings next to the ocean?
Well, I think a lot of it was the ship, like the crashed cargo ship. I think that is an actual wreck in the
In
movie.
Africa?
Mhm.
That's pretty sweet. Oh, it's probably. I guess probably is not too expensive to go over there and film.
No, you probably just leave stuff in the middle of the desert. They won't care. But anyway,
But yeah, okay. So she's looking around her like coastal desert, and she like goes into a house, and she's just kind of like curious about everything. And she that's when she sees like a family, and they're all like dead around a dinner table, and she sees what they were doing right before the bombs drop, and they were drinking poison basically.
You totally breezed by. Sorry, now that I think about it, you totally breezed by the fact that she sees an Assaultron halfway, like, buried in the sand.
Which actually brings me to another point. Now that you mentioned that Assaultron, which looked really good, by the way, I totally forgot about the Assaultron. But yeah, the Assaultron in the sand was there. You guys remember in Fallout 4 the Mechanist DLC?
I
Yeah,
lost my legs. My legs. I can't feel my.
Lieutenant Dan.
It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're blown up. Where's the rest of the robots?
Yep. You kill all the rest of the robots. Anyway, Mechanist, that companion system was pretty cool because you could build your own robot. And there was tons of variation to the robots. You could just make them thick so they carry all your loot. And then you could just loot everything.
I think the Mechanist DLC was one of my favorites because
do
I
really like
built.
this
I
DLC.
really liked building the robots.
Honestly, Fallout 4's DLC were pretty solid. I liked
Yeah.
all the DLC. I liked Nuka World. I liked Far Harbor. The Mechanist was great. And even like the extra building stuff, like the building was great in that game. I enjoyed it.
That was nice.
Anyway, side tangent later. Back to the Assaultron. Yeah, you're right. She sees an Assaultron. Pretty dope. I wonder, do you guys think they're gonna have like some Assaultrons fight later? Like, are we gonna actually see them in action? I hope so. Because they're pretty sweet. And they're mean. But yeah, back to she found that family and they were drinking poison. Banana, what'd the poison say?
It's not just poison; it's poison courtesy of your local vault. Here you go. So, you know, what I was either thinking from that was, no matter what vault you were in, each vault had an experiment, and that was either to let the people go after a certain amount of time, which I'm guaranteeing you the only people who were in those vaults were all the rich people.
No, not
And-
even, dude. They
well-
start messing with the rich people too.
Well, they were like the rich people who were actually important, and then like the ones they didn't really care about just got like shoved in all the other crappy vaults. And it's like, yeah, so it's like, to me, like, I don't think, like, oh, I didn't get in a vault. It's like, honestly, I don't think you were doing yourself like any favors by getting in a vault, because I think you were just gonna be screwed either way.
It was definitely a roll of the dice, right? Like, you may get an okay vault, or you may get the vault where there's cloning and a guy named Gary goes a little crazy.
Gary.
Or you may get the coolest vault where you're in there with 360 women or something like that.
Or you can be in the New Vegas vault and end
Or
up
you-
having a casino.
Or you could be in the vault where it's just a man and a crate of puppets.
Ooh, no, I'm gonna pass on that.
There's
They
a
made
ton of vaults.
reference to that in Fallout 3, and I absolutely loved it because I never thought that comic was canon until they made an Easter egg of it into Fallout 3, and I'm like, oh, that's great. There's a psychopath that came through the Capital Wasteland with a puppet.
With a puppet. The puppet master.
Oh no, but sorry, going back onto that like Vault Tech Plan D, it really kind of shows you that Vault Tech might have been willing to sell stuff to the general public as well.
They definitely did.
Like they might have done more than just the vaults.
Oh, they 100% did. Like, why not? Why wouldn't
It's
you
like,
sell
sorry
that
that you couldn't get into the vault, but you know,
There you go.
here's some pills.
stuff? It's so bad. But it's Vault-Tec. They're ridiculous. They literally would sell death in case you blew up. Like, the mentality of the country at the time that the bombs dropped just had to be so wacky, so weird. Just
And it's like, not even just like that too. It's like, all right, so honey, you're also gonna take some cyanide pills. What, mom? It's like, yeah, honey, you're gonna take this and just die.
I don't think
But
they told them.
would you
that,
tell
but-
your kid, or would you just be like, here's dessert,
Here's some
Yeah.
dessert. Have your fill.
right? Go to sleep and don't wake up. But Obviously, the place that she
Smell
is,
this
though,
rag, honey.
right? Obviously, the place she is like far enough away from the bombs that it didn't get like incinerated, but nobody's alive there, and the houses are super blown out from the. They probably still would have gotten pretty irradiated.
Radiated.
Well,
Say it
like
again?
to me, that's what I've been like trying to think. It's like, okay, so like yes, you can see like the bomb, like if it covers your thumb, like you're okay, but it's like
Nah, you're not.
I don't know how okay really you're still gonna be, like, because if you're down a river or there's wind, it's
You're
gonna
still getting all the
carry.
radiation. Yeah.
You're gonna get all that radiation carried down the. You'd have to be at least 200 miles away.
So you know what would be really interesting is if they did a story from a ghoul's perspective, and like
Like
through the
after,
ages, and like how he ghoulifies or she ghoulifies, and
that'd be
how it
cool.
right, like
Like
because then you can kind of
what's life
see
like? What's life like after
Man, if
everything
only there
right
was
goes
a
after the
really?
ghoul
bomb
in this show.
like how did it all crumble besides being blown up.
Or do you even remember that far back anymore?
Yeah, that's true because the ghouls like start to lose their memories, right?
Only if they start turning feral.
But could you remember over like to me 600 years worth of memories?
It's a lot of memories.
Well, if nothing really happens in that time frame, yeah.
I mean, probably the most.
Like the ghoul that was trapped in the
I would
fridge.
definitely be like, man, I wish I could think about how green the grass was and how it wasn't nothing but sand, and more sand.
Dude, that's why it would suck to be like one of those ghouls that's like stuck in it. Wasn't there a ghoul in Fallout 4? I think it was a kid. And he's like stuck in a fridge.
Yeah,
And like he ghoulified, but he's been in
you
that
can
fridge.
tell him.
Yeah. It's been there a while. It's gotta be pretty boring. Okay, so she's like she's finished exploring and she's settling down for the night in this wasteland. She hasn't really seen anything scary. It's been kind of empty. And she's doing like all of her, survival skills that we saw in the first episode and lighting a fire and making a meal and setting up like a cute little camp and like everything seems
Reminds me
fine.
of very first 76 time when you gotta like build your camp and like
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
you put down your little fire. Yeah, that's actually a great. Yeah, it's definitely like that. It's definitely 76. And then she's just chilling there, enjoying the night, and then she starts hearing growling, and then the dog jumps out of nowhere, and it's the same dog from the scientist.
You know, she's considerably lucky it's him that found her and not literally anybody else in the entire wasteland.
Or anything else.
Yeah.
Right, like she just does not understand the danger that is
She's
in
just
the
out
wasteland.
here camping with a bright fire.
Would you think she'd think it's a dangerous place since like a group of raiders came down into her vault and slaughtered half of her vault and then left? Wouldn't you think that maybe the outside world's a little rough?
I'm sure she's just following whatever the Vault Tech hand guide said to do when you were outside camping.
That's a good point because her vault was all about being like good and optimistic and like doing things as you're supposed to do them. But she's at the fire. The dog shows up, and then what happens?
It's the rad roach.
She's kind of like observing the area. Then she notices off to the side. She's like, that there's some dude sitting there.
And it's the scientist. I keep wanting to say his name because I'm reading it here on the thing, but we haven't heard his name yet. So it's just the scientist, Michael Emerson, and he just somehow his stealth has to be super high because man just snuck up on her and is sitting across from her.
Is it really sneaking if she's sleeping, though?
I mean, she wasn't sleeping. The dog showed up, ran over there, and ate a rad
He
roach.
saw the dog before she saw him.
Are you sure he didn't walk up after the dog attacked, though?
If you look at it, he is sitting down.
He's just been chilling there the whole time?
Yes, if you go back and rewatch the scene, you can see that he is sitting, I think, in a chair the
So,
entire
man,
time.
just like, nice fire. I'll just pull up right here.
Yeah,
settle
which
down.
means which leaves me to think, how long was he sitting there watching her sleep before
Oh my
that
God.
rad roach pulled up and the dog got
Well,
it?
we kind of talked about this before. That means he's probably a nicer guy. Like, think about the dog, right? He decided to keep a puppy and like put it to the side and like protect it because he didn't want it to be incinerated. He seems to have different motives than you'd think of your evil, Nazi scientist enclave, Vault
Yeah,
Tech
especially
scientist.
what the Enclave really is and what they're about.
right? Like he seems a little different. Like
Well,
maybe
that just
he's
says
out
everyone
there-
who's in the scientist is a bad guy, which is obviously not the case. Not everyone's a bad guy who works for a bad corporation.
Well, they had armed guards, remember, right? Like, so we don't know, but he seems like a better guy. And I think if you're right, and he was sitting there, he was probably sitting there to like protect her over the night. So she wakes up, freaks out about the dog, freaks out about the rad roach getting just destroyed, which the rad roach looked great. And I hate that it looked great because I really didn't like it. But he tells her that the rad roaches hunt in packs and said like she would be eaten right now if it wasn't for him.
Well, he's saying that because he was talking about like the bombs and stuff like that. Like,
And how the
It's like,
radiation.
Something like how people used to joke that cockroaches wouldn't survive a nuclear like apocalypse,
Blast.
and here they've like adapted or something like that. And
and
Well,
evolve.
they would survive, but what
They've
they didn't
improved.
realize is how they change. And now this is kind of his main point through this little conversation he has. Because he talks to her about the rad roach and he's like, they used to be small. We thought they would stay small, but the radiation changed them and they became another beast entirely. They evolved. And he's saying the wasteland does that to you. He kind of says this to her in a roundabout way, but he says, like, you may want to find your dad now because she's like, I want to find my dad. Who are you? Whatever.
doesn't he tell her to go
He's like, you
home?
may want to find your dad now. You don't know who the wasteland's going to change you to be and what you'll want later. And I think this is going to be the theme for the show. I think this is going to be the main theme. We're going to see Lucy transform, we're going to see Maximus transform, and we're going to see the ghoul transform.
Well, then like he starts breaking down. Like he instantly like says like calls her a vault dweller. And it's like you come from like a vault where you're like you guys are pretty much like an endangered species kind of thing.
Yeah, no, he does
Like,
call her an
you come
endangered
from like
species.
actual places that have like laws, rules, and like stuff like that.
Yeah, he's like, the wasteland is not like that. And he tells her to go home. He just straight up says, forget about it, go home. But Lucy is optimistic. She's okie dokie. She's ready to go. And she says, like, nah, I'ma stay.
I gotta find my dad.
I'ma find my dad. I gotta find my dad.
Gotta
I
find my
love
papa.
how when she's like, no, I'm not leaving without my dad. He kind of just puts his hands up like, screw it, do it then. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
that's
he-
not the right attitude for it. Like, you know
He's
what?
not gonna stop her,
You do it.
but he's gonna tell her the truth.
You boo boo.
Right? Like this wasteland's not gonna be nice. And so he gets up and he dips.
And he's like, well, I got other things to be doing, so.
Yeah, he's obviously, well, we already know he's on the run. So she comes face to face with the guy that stole the stuff and is on the run. He seems to know about her and she's just kind of confused and doesn't know about him.
And she tries asking, and then he just poof into the midnight sky.
Right? I like that she doesn't follow him. I kind of like that she just kind of goes back to her camp and
Well, she knows
Chill
what
out.
she's looking for. She's looking for a dad.
yeah.
I will say
and
they did a good job on making him almost completely disappear into the darkness. Like, there hits a point where you almost can't see him.
right, like I feel like the light and dark of this is so stark. It's what I talked about with the colors and the saturation. Like I feel like the darks are really dark. I mean, they would be, right? Because there's no light pollution, there's no cities, there's nothing like that. There's no satellites anymore that are being kept up, right? Like so you just get darkness.
See, and like, I'm not bagging on like Fallout 3 New Vegas because they're good games, but the nights in those games are so dang bright. And then, like, because of my Fallout 4 and like some of the mods I have for it, I have night so dark that even with like my Pip-Boy light on and light from my like gun, because I have mods that add some semi-modern weapons, it is still so dark that it feels like a horror game. And it's like, realistically, yeah, that's what the Wasteland would be, is dark. Like almost, I want to say pitch black in a sense.
Yeah, no, it'd be pretty dark, especially out there in the middle of nowhere with nothing. He fades off into the darkness, and the screen goes dark pretty much, and we're into the next scene. And we're back with Maximus, and the scene cuts in so cool because it's just the vertibird over like some salt flats, and it's just cooking along there. It's got the minigun on the side. You know, you got the pilots.
There's a rubber ducky sitting on the console.
There's a rubber
There's a
ducky
rubber
sitting on the
ducky
console.
sitting on the console.
I didn't even notice that. So there's this. It's not a bobblehead, but it's still funny that they got like a A rubber ducky
Oh,
sitting
that
on the
is-
console. But yeah, so they're chilling, and Maximus is sitting in there, and he's trying to like start conversation with the Knight Titus, and he's like, "Yo, so like, how's it going, Knight Titus? What I don't even remember what he asked him, but he's just asked him some dumb thing that a squire would ask, and Knight Titus doesn't even respond to him, and takes off his like jock strap, but for the power armor, like a like his cock plate or whatever it's called. And he like throws it at Maximus and is like, polish it.
Well, like I've been sitting there thinking, like kind of even back to the first like episode.
Yeah.
What I've noticed between both these times is like every time he's like started somewhere new, he's always been picked like kind of like picked on. Like he always get like it's like a crap job. And you think he like he thought like it would be better joining like the Brotherhood and being like a squire. But so far it's been like pretty.
He's just gotten the crap kicked out of him, and then his knight literally made him clean his cock plate. And then his knight makes him put his cock plate back on.
And he's got to carry just this big old freaking backpack.
He's got to carry this giant backpack. And then the knight tells the vertibird to like pull over, and it's like, I need to kill some stuff. And then
I'm bored.
Grabs Maximus and then like jumps out of the vertibird with, I think he's got like a rope, but honestly,
He's like attached with like some grab handle thing.
It's a claw, like it's a claw machine.
but dude, honestly, I would probably like in the games you just jump, right? Like you just jump out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're going on their mission, and they jump out of the plane, and they're not even close to their destination, and they decide to basically start hoofing it, just because Knight Titus wanted to kill some stuff. But at least his power armor's badass, right? Like
Power armor looks so good.
every scene, the power armor looks
No,
good.
see that's the thing. Like I look at like a lot of other factions are cool, but you know what they don't got? They don't got no power armor, bro.
Honestly, the power armor is probably the best part.
It's like the mascot, right, of Fallout.
It is.
What do you say?
It's like the mascot. Like it's on every. It's at the front of every game. Is the power armor.
I mean, I'd say it's kind of the mascot, but like the Vault Boy would be its Fallout's mascot.
In an
Yeah,
indirect way, yes. Power armor would be.
Fallout New Vegas doesn't have the power armor on the front.
Got the NCR Ranger.
It's got the NCR Ranger outfit.
All right, it's Bethesda.
To be fair, trying to wear power armor in New Vegas is such a pain in the butt because you can only obtain it one of three ways.
Yeah.
There's three different ways you can do it, but
when you obtain it,
oh, you mean at the very end of the game?
but when you obtain it,
They-
you are the most badass in the game for sure. Okay, let's go to the next scene. They go off into the wilderness, and then it snaps back to the scientist and his dog. And this is like a quick scene. They basically walk up to this cave. They sit down. He starts eating some cram, and his dog runs off into the cave and comes back with a human hand. And then you hear some growling, and the scientist looks worried, and then they dip. What do you guys think it is, though, that he's like hearing that's growling?
the dogs I would think would definitely be the one growling.
No, I thought, no, what are you talking? There was like growling in the cave. I thought it was like going to be a death claw. Honestly.
I thought it was a dog.
Same.
You thought the dog was growling in the cave and like
It says-
murdered someone and then came back out with a hand?
Well, I mean, I guess that depends on if you're the type of person to watch this with subtitles or not. Because if
Okay.
you're watching with subtitles, then you would realize it's not the dog because the subtitles kind of like tell you that it's not.
I didn't think it was the dog either way, because the growling was definitely lower and sounded more like a monster rather than the dog. I thought the dog went and found something from the cave that the monster had been munching on and brought it out, which was the human hand.
Also, the hand was pretty fresh looking, so
Yeah, it looked
I don't
like
know
someone had been ripped up
Why?
recently.
But part of me low-key kind of expected to see a Night Stalker.
Maybe. No, because those would be... This
I was
place is more
thinking-
green all of a sudden, right? Like, I feel like they got into a greener area.
Yeah, but I mean, all a Night Stalker is a coyote, a rattlesnake, and a stealth boy put together.
And a stealth boy. Just slap them together.
Yeah. You go to a crafting bench and
make
put
your
them
own.
together, and you craft
Well-
yourself a Night Stalker.
But don't the Night Stalkers only go out in packs? And don't they have the Rattler? Or am I thinking of the... Yeah, the Night Stalkers have the Rattler on their butts, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how you hear them. They sound like snakes almost, like snake dogs.
Yeah, but I mean, like, they might make other noises.
I thought it was a death claw. You guys thought it was the dog. Brad thought it was a night stalker.
Yes.
But
Could have been anything.
it could have been anything.
That would have been cool if like a behemoth.
A behemoth? You just want a behemoth to come out?
Well, that would have been like, it's like, because in Fallout 4, they're like kind of just randomly everywhere and just like random parts of the map. And it's like when you're like looking at the area, like you see kind of like bones and stuff around, and you see kind of like a keep out sign. And it's like a behemoth would be kind of cool to like, sure, is it kind of big? Yeah, but would it be like, it could have been like sitting in the cave because they eat like practically anything too.
True. They could just be chilling in the cave eating stuff. I don't know if they're going to do super mutants. The only reference we really saw the super mutants, I think, was that gurney that went by him earlier in this episode. I hope they have a super mutant show up. I think that'd be cool. But
Hear me out, though.
It's Fallout. We're going to see probably like one of everything.
What if they make like a giant super mutant soldier like they did in the original Fallout games, aka Frank Horrigan, aka literally the hardest boss battle in like any of the Fallout games?
the ghoul could take him.
Oh no. You don't understand, my friend.
I think the goal still got it.
I think the ghoul's too cool. But okay. No, that we could see a super mutant. I think that'd be cool. But this is okay. We're coming up on the part that probably bothered me the most about this episode. And it's the fact that we just had the scene with the scientist next to the cave. And immediately the next scene is the Knight Titus and Maximus walking up on the cave. Like, I don't know. It just seemed almost like too convenient that they were right on his trail. Maybe it has to do with the scene placement. Like, I feel like we missed something, right? Like, it feels too soon.
Yeah, I thought it was like some sort of time skip, but it is convenient that they're right at the same cave in the middle of nowhere. So I agree.
Right? And they dropped off early.
It's for plot
It
devices.
just feels like it kind of happened. Maybe they're that good at tracking.
I was gonna say, they're really good with tracking, because yeah, I just know that the Brotherhood are really good at tracking.
I mean, that's what they do. They hunt down tech, right? So, sure, they're hunting down this guy, and I guess they had a direction of where he escaped from, which means the Brotherhood of Steel know about the Enclave and what they're doing, and know that they're over there.
Well, like I was learning all sorts of new things about like just the power armor alone from like, I'm not trying to say anything from like, because I already watched the third episode, but like I've learned plenty of like, I learned a whole bunch of just new things from about power armor that I've never knew about, and it's like, so like there could be things in there that we just don't know, that's how they just know where it is.
Like they got like some extra stuff in the power armor.
Like you remember, like even like in Fallout, like when you get a quest marker, it just like tells you where the location is. For all we know, they could just have a quest marker in their head that just tells them where it's at.
He's just following his quest marker.
I just know where to go. Okay.
Like, track down scientists. We're going to this cave. So, but they end up at the cave and it's right behind him. So this is my only discrepancy with this episode. The only thing that really, at least that I can think of so far, that really bothered me. So they move through and they hear growling too. And they both walk into the cave, Knight Titus and Maximus. And Knight Titus ends up being kind of a pansy and tells Maximus to go first, even though Maximus isn't the one in power armor or with an assault rifle.
Right, I thought this was a test.
Nah, he's got like what? A 10 millimeter and a little flashlight.
Yeah, he's like, go for it. You go
He's literally
first.
wearing just like the initiate suit with a freaking 10 mil. It's like, yeah, go get him, champ. It's like, my God, you're the one in the power armor.
So Maximus like basically goes because.
And then his flashlight craps out on, which I thought was hilarious.
Wait, I don't even remember that. So his flashlight craps out on him?
Yeah, he smacks it a couple of times before he throws it on the ground, and then, essentially has to go in there without a light now.
Talk about timing. I wonder if there's like a bunch of radiation in here. It looked like there was like some barrels and stuff.
I mean, probably.
So like they're walking into like a radiation cave, and they're wondering there's totally, if I remember right, there's totally barrels in there. So like aren't they smart enough not to walk into the radiation?
He probably doesn't know. The knight should know.
Well, the power armor has a nice built-in feature where it makes you pretty solidly immune to the radiation.
So Knight Titus is even more of a dick then.
Yeah,
Because not only did he make him go first, he made him walk into the middle of radiation.
Yeah, like he'd be able to tell you if there was radiation around here, but everyone else would just kind of be SOL.
Oh,
And
gosh.
one thing that's also like kind of like bothered me, like so like they're chilling, they're hanging out. Maximus is just like looking around. The bear's like slowly creeping up, and like no one's paying attention. It's like you would think that like for how cool power armor is, like dude, like the behind your head is like such a blind spot.
Right.
It's-
You would think there'd be like a sensor or something to like.
Like one of those rear view cameras that you got.
need like
in your
a
truck.
backup cam on your
Yeah,
head.
like
Yeah.
backup camera.
Where's this backup camera? But yeah, so like basically what Banana was saying is that freaking Maximus turns around.
Like you're telling me this bear sneaked up behind you? Really?
Maximus turns around, looks at Knight Titus, and behind Knight Titus is a giant Yaogoi bear. And it's Yaogoi. Basically, it's snuck up on the power armor, which is why we're saying there's no like backwards camera or
How
anything.
does an 800-pound bear sneak up on a person?
Stealth, dude. He had a stealth boy, and he just came out of invisibility, and he's ready to
Did he
go.
camp the first half of the game and do the sneak exploit before leaving the beginning cave?
Yeah,
Bears are stealthy.
Bear played
This is what
Skyrim.
happens when the Skyrim bear does the glitch.
Gets radiation. It becomes stealthy. But yeah, so the bear just starts beating the crap out of Knight Titus. And honestly, I was really disappointed in Knight Titus.
I was kind of hoping to see him actually like throw hands with it instead of just, I don't know, it panning out the way it did.
Or do something. You just sort of laid there.
He like throws a few punches, and then like the bear's like sitting there like cowering over. And he's like, "Yeah, that shows the bear." And it's like, bro, you have totally missed an opportunity to like
Actually, like throat punch the bear.
or do anything.
Friggin', you should have suplexed that bear in your power armor.
And then he runs away, and it's like, dude,
Yeah,
the only guy who's like actually doing something is Maximus, who's got his gun out.
I was just gonna say what Banana was saying. He runs away and he literally trips and bonks his head, and then the bear just starts just slapping him around.
Well, it's like really, like you klutz, you bounced your head.
See, and the one thing that I couldn't help but thinking that entire time is, you would think with him smashing his head on a rock in that power armor, wouldn't it kill him? Or give him a concussion or something?
He might have a
Probably.
concussion because it would like absorb the blow because it's supposed to because it's the power armor. But
Yeah, but you're still talking about direct blunt force trauma regardless.
all the
like, that's gonna
weight-
rattle your brain around somehow.
definitely, which is why like he just lays there like a fish and gets slapped around by the bear. Do you guys remember? I don't know if you guys ever saw Revenant. Leonardo DiCaprio
yeah.
gets mauled by a bear for like 10 minutes in that movie.
Yep.
This wasn't as bad, and I was like kind of disappointed in the like he was like not fighting back very much, and he had power armor, and he's like screaming, and he's like, save me, get over here, save me." He's yelling at Maximus, and Maximus literally points the gun at the bear, shoots the bear in the head,
One time.
one bullet, and the bear's dead.
Homie literally got a level up right before this, gave himself the perk finesse, vatsed the bear, shot it, and got a critical.
Straight up, because how did he just take out that bear so easily? One bullet. You know how thick a bear's skull is? And this one's like a radiation bear? Maybe it was softer, I guess.
The guy had to already have a high gun skill.
He had to have. Like, Maximus just drops the bear, and Knight Titus is just laying there like a fish, yelling at him to, like, help him get the helmet off. And so, yeah, I don't know. This part was weird. Also, the bear
This part,
looked
like really bothered me
okay.
because Knight Titus just like
sucks.
he just like gets up and he's just like he just starts being so mean to Maximus, and it's just
Right, like Maximus just saved him.
Like, I could get being a little upset, but like he almost like he takes it way too far, and it's just like
yeah, he like demands a stim pack, and then he complains about the wasteland. He's like, this place is like it's something different every day. Some always wants to ruin your day.
So like you said, he demands the stim pack, but then like he's not bringing him fast, and he's like, "You stupid." He's like, "You stupid motherfucker." Like he's like, "Are you?"
Starts
He's like
ripping into Maximus.
He's like, "They'll just string you up if you don't bring." He's like, "I'll get another one. You're just another replacement." And he's just like, he's almost so mad because like when he was a kid, he looked up to the Brotherhood, and it's like the guy he looked up to is just sitting there, just like
Being a
pretty much
dick.
to call him just a piece of shit, and it's just like, damn.
Yeah, no, it's it was like a weird, funny scene of a guy in power armor running away from a bear that ended in the guy just being the biggest asshole in the wasteland. And there's a lot of assholes in this wasteland. And he just rips into Maximus. And
I'd love for him to meet Jericho from Fallout 3, because I'm pretty sure Jericho takes that title of biggest a-hole in the wasteland.
right, well, Jericho, yeah. But yeah, so he's like telling him to get the stim pack, and Maximus basically is like, you know what? You don't deserve the stim pack. You're not what a knight should
This
be.
is where I definitely got the vibe that Maximus, he's kind of willing to do whatever it takes to, like,
Survive.
ensure his own survival. Like
Sure, like I sit there like he gets like he's sitting there and like the dude's like just being so mean to him, and like I don't like the weird kind of cutscenes from time to time, like where you kind of like don't see like you don't because like we never figured out, does he kill him? Did he just die from not having the stim pack? It's
Well,
like
that's the thing. Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. So he has the stim pack, right? And he's like not going to give it to him. And he basically says like, "You're not worthy to be a knight. You're not what you should be, right?" And so he's not going to give him the stim pack. But you look over at the dude, and the dude's like, "F you," and then like he just kind of dies.
he tells him, he's like, I'm not giving you stim pack. He's like, they'll string you up for this.
But like,
They'll freaking kill you.
How damaged was he from like hitting his head that he needed a stim pack? Like, did he break his neck? Did he like? Because the bear was beating the crap out of him, but like, I don't know. He's wearing giant power armor.
Yeah, but if you look
moving
at how
fine.
much he's bleeding out of his face
Yeah,
and his
he's bleeding a
mouth, like
lot.
if you go back and rewatch it, he's bleeding a lot, which is why I kind of made the assumption of, oh, I'm surprised he didn't die from smashing his head that hard.
So maybe that was it. Maybe he's like pretty messed up, and he just.
And that bear smacking him around only just made it that much worse.
But I could see Maximus capping him.
Well,
I mean, I could also literally see him just sitting outside of arm's reach and letting him cough and hack and
That would
die
be
from
the
internal
smarter
bleeding.
decision, right? Because then
But,
if the Brotherhood's like, "What happened?" he could be like, "Dude got mauled by a bear and died." Like,
Which, I don't know.
you'll see the proof on the armor, because the armor has
The
literally
scene-
scratch marks.
Literally, the scene after like this kind of gives you this really weird, eerie vibe of Maximus just staring at him, and it's like, oh, you'd let someone die.
So my
Like,
note-
you'd straight up
Yeah.
just let someone die.
Well, he was brought on as a kid, and he probably saw a lot of death as a kid, right? Like, he's part of the wasteland. Just because the Brotherhood of Steel is like a little bit more regimented, like, you know, Maximus was born in the wasteland. And literally, I'm looking at my notes right now, and the comment that I put there was just, Max is cold. Like, he just, like you said, Dab Ninja, he just sits there, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to let you die. And I think the guy even says, like, they're going to kill you for this. And he basically says, like, not if I bring back the target, because they're already tracking him, and they're already close.
Mhm.
So, in a way, I think he's right. I think if he brings back the target, they won't care.
it wouldn't be bad, but like you'd be in almost a weird predicament because like if you killed him, no matter what you would do, the Brotherhood would just like you would be probably killed for that because like the Brotherhood does not tolerate traitors and people who also kill fellow Brotherhood members.
But they don't know.
That's the thing, is like he didn't kill him. He didn't save him.
But we also don't know that either.
Yeah, true. They don't really like let us know. So it's up to assume.
I just hope that he just like let him just die.
So I feel like there's three kind of moral compasses in this thing, right? You've got Lucy, and Lucy's very good, right? She's very
or lawful good.
lawful good, does the good things. And I feel like Maximus is middle. I feel like he's neither good nor bad. He's kind of neutral, but he
Kind of more
does
does what
I would
Maximus
say-
was.
I would say chaotic neutral.
chaotic neutral, but he does try and do good things, right?
Yes, but I mean, still, like, we could talk about the scene that we're discussing now. Like, I feel like that's enough to kind of put him in that chaotic state of willing to let the person that he's supposed to protect die just to,
I'll go with the chaotic neutral.
get some power armor.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. And then you got Walton Goggins. By the way, we keep saying Walter last episode. It's Walton. Walton Goggins.
Is it?
It's Walton.
All right,
Walton.
Walton.
But the ghoul, and he just seems bad. He just seems like the bad guy. So it's kind of interesting. Turisky kind of pointed out the like 3 pillars of the show and how they're like good, medium, and evil. So we'll have to see how they change over the wasteland, just like the scientist was saying earlier. How the wasteland changes them. But okay, next scene. This one is actually one of the funnier scenes. I do love the comedy scenes. See, this is my problem. They could have put this scene before the other one, the one we just watched, right? And that would have given it like enough space between the 2 scenes that were like at the cave that it would feel like time had passed. So I don't know why they didn't do it, because this one could easily be switched, right?
Yeah, you just didn't like the.
I don't know. Maybe I'm going on my soapbox. So this next scene is hilarious. We're in the middle of the desert. There's a house, and there's a man in a diaper trying to pump water. And Lucy walks up on this guy, and she immediately pulls the gun on him. She's not like playing around anymore. And she's pointing the gun at him, and he's like, "Please don't shoot me. What do you want?" And he comes over, and she's like, "I'm just trying to find my dad." And he's like, "Well, there's a town that way."
No, she's like, I'm trying to find my dad. I'm just looking for some directions. He's like, okay, well, I don't got no
Yeah, so
guns.
she's looking directions to like what, the nearest
And
town?
he's like, oh, sorry, I'm just used to people being hostile.
Yeah, he's like, I'm used to people just being mean. And then he talks about like how he doesn't have any water, that his whole family died there. And then he offers like, he's like, "Hey, you want to live with me?"
No, so when you said talking about his water, he's like, yeah, I got a water filter, but no matter how much sand I keep hitting, all I keep getting sand. It's like, and she's like, well, did you try putting water in it?
Did
He's
you
like,
try water?
it's like, wait a minute.
And so doesn't she like give him some water?
And then after they get done talking, she's like, would you like some water? And he's like, yeah, there, thank you.
Yeah,
And then he drinks all of it.
all of it.
Yeah, he's like, when someone hands you some water, you drink all of it. So this guy's funny. He's like in a diaper, like just drinking all the water. And then he says, likes her. So he's like, "You want to stay here and live with me?" And she's like, "Nah, I'm good, bro." And
He's like,
and then I guess they kind of like, he gives her directions to a town.
yeah, he's like, yeah, it's just over the hill. And she's like, oh, have you been over there? And it's like, nah, you've never been over the hill. It's like, nah, it's too dangerous.
Well, then he
It's too
says like
dangerous.
almost all of his family had died there.
Yeah.
Like, I lost a couple brothers, my dad, my aunt, my uncle.
That's right.
So he's like, "I'm not going to that town." More like they probably just all stayed.
They probably all just left.
Right? They're probably like, "There's an actual town. I don't know what we're doing over here without the water with Diaper Man," but so they just left him. But yeah, so it was kind of a funny interaction with the random person in the wasteland who wasn't trying to kill her or take her stuff, but she plays defense pretty well.
Didn't try to sleep with her though.
Yeah, definitely.
As like a last resort, because he's like, I'm dying.
At least he was.
We can have a family.
Yeah. He's like, "You can own all this."
I was just thinking, I'm like, I'll just come back after a year or two and see if you're still kicking around. If not, I'll just move in.
Why would
Let's
you
come
move
by
where he
every 3
was?
days.
His house was terrible.
Yeah, that place was a dump.
His house had no water, just had
Okay,
sand.
but in the wasteland, a house is a house.
Right? And the mortgage rate's probably pretty solid.
Well, like if you I was noticing when they were talking and I was just kind of observing the landscape, it's very bare, but then when you look off towards the city, like the city's got a whole bunch of kind of trees and lush green around it.
Yeah, they do have several places with forests and then back and forth. Very interesting contrast, but The wasteland's heavily there.
I'm feeling like I'm either seeing extreme desert or I'm seeing like forest, and I'm like,
It's not like, and it's like a dry forest. Like I wouldn't say it's too wet, but like
no, it looks dry for sure. It looks
Yeah.
tropical.
yeah, it looks like it could work. But so she dips and heads towards the city, and then we're back with Maximus, and Maximus is looking at the armor, and it's everything he's ever imagined. And he's about to get into it, and he's super pumped, and he's basically like living his dream of being that knight that rescued.
So like I was noticing when he was getting ready to get into it, not only is he getting into it, but he's also wearing the dude's under outfit that you
Yeah,
wear.
like the pilot outfits, like with the hat and
Yeah.
everything. Like he's got the full
Yeah.
outfit
So-
now.
He took his clothes.
Do you think maybe then he took out Knight Titus's body, put his clothes on Titus's corpse, put Titus's clothes on his body just to assume the role and position?
I'm wondering if he's thinking that he's never taken off his helmet.
Oh, and people don't know who it is under
Yeah.
there?
No, they gotta know because they know
Yeah.
who Maximus is.
Yeah.
No, because they gotta know. But I'm thinking if he did switch the clothes, like probably proper protocol would be to call the kill in, right? Like be like, my knight's dead. He got mauled by a bear. I'm here with his armor. And instead, Maximus decides, I'm gonna put on the armor. I'm gonna go solve the quest and then come back. So like, see, I think that's the difficulty there.
I would have just been like Knight Titus died by being attacked by a bear. So I would have just played this off differently. So I
So
would
I
have been like,
decided to continue the mission for the good of the Brotherhood.
no, I would have just like raided him like Knight Titus is dead. I'm out here by myself, and like maybe they just reassign me with a different like knight.
Possibly, but they definitely want to recover the armor.
Well, sure, you wouldn't get the armor right away, but at least you wouldn't be with Sergeant Meanie anymore, and like maybe you'd be like they didn't have him now in open position, and maybe they'd pick you to fill his position and something.
I don't think that's super likely, but yeah.
No, yeah, I think it's an impulsive decision. I think he's just impulsive and he takes it. But at the same time, in the Wasteland, I don't see why they wouldn't be fine with him being like, yeah, I put on the armor. I'm gonna keep going on the mission and like still radio in, but he chooses not to. So it makes it more of a problem.
If he would have like just took off, it's like they would have wanted to recover Knight Titus's body, if not his tags for sure, because that's the Brotherhood way. But yeah, like I definitely like that he like the armor's cool, and I'm like, yeah.
And how the armor opens, right? Like it opens just like the game where like the back opens up and you gotta like step into it. And they made all the perfect power armor sounds. Yeah. So he hops into the armor. There's like a radio in the power armor, so he like starts playing the radio, and it's like very much like the game. It's pretty cool. And he's just having a great time in the armor. I mean,
Like when he's looking around, you can actually see on the bottom of the screen, like you can see like all the dials that are actually in like the power armor, like your AP HUD, your fuel gauge, the compasses like actually show you like north, south, and like your like waypoint. That's all visible on his, and then like it also shows like your full armor status on the side, and it's like, yeah, it's cool, and like they show all that detail really well.
oh yeah, no, and the power armor looks so good moving around.
There was a massive stone to the ocean, I think, at some point.
Yeah, and he's just like,
Which might be like literally a couple seconds after what you just mentioned.
Yeah, no, he like starts throwing, kicking, and kind of experimenting with the power of the power. Like crumbles down. It's like, I don't know, he kind of realizes there's a lot more power to this power armor than you think. And then he hears two guys.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, shortly after this, we get like the best comedic scene ever.
right, like he gets done throwing and he hears something off in the distance, and he's like walking over and investigating, and sees two guys fighting it out, and like one of them's like threatening to kill the other, and he like doesn't even know the situation yet, and he's
Typical wasteland encounter.
yeah, to me that's typical wasteland. So he's like,
Definitely a Wild Wasteland perk going on.
Right? That's what it is. It's the Wild Wasteland perk. He came across dudes fighting. He decides to help the one that is losing. The one that's losing escapes and runs away. And Nick, what were the reason they were fighting, Nick?
The guy he was being a little inappropriate towards some birds that the guy had.
He was doing some not nice things to some
was-
chickens.
Yeah, he was having sex with his chickens.
He was trying to recreate the chicken guy from
For
Family Guy.
science.
For some-
So it's kind of a wacky situation where like he grabs the guy's head. Maximus grabs the guy's head to stop him from fighting, and the other guy gets away. And he's like, "Please don't kill me! Please don't kill me!" It's just he was fucking my chickens.
Well, he's like the guy was like also talking about like he's also he's like my scientific curiosity
Has
made
been
me.
satisfied. Like,
Are you telling me that this guy was having sex for chickens for science?
for science.
Well, it's just it's a nice little lesson for Maximus about how, being a knight isn't just as straightforward as he probably thinks it is.
And like walking
Right.
up to a situation, and it's like you had no idea what was going on, and you thought you were helping, but all you did was make the situation worse.
Well, not worse, but probably not the right thing to do.
I mean, sure, probably was killing him probably gonna resolve your problem? Sure, would you have felt better? Yeah, but like,
Well, I mean,
is it the moral thing? No.
if Maximus accidentally killed the dude, that just means the other guy would have had free reign on the chickens at any time.
It's just a funny situation. It's definitely that like wacky wasteland.
I think what it is like at the end, he won't do it again because then the guy will actually really kill him.
Nah, he's gonna do it again.
He's gonna do it again. You saw
That's
that guy
fine, 'cause-
run.
But that's fine. The guy will be back and actually kill him this time.
That guy likes chickens, which is funny because Walter, the ghouls can't abide chickens apparently, but that guy abides chickens. That guy. But yeah, and I think doesn't this is where he discovers right before we switch the scenes, like at the end of this scene, he accidentally discovers that his power armor has like jetpack boost on the arms or something.
Which I
Yeah.
noticed to me were kind of odd because
They're like Iron Man.
They don't have that.
No, I haven't seen a power armor suit have that. I mean, I believe it could be possible, but like all the other ones we've
it
seen
could be
have
possible.
just
But I've
full
never
jetpack.
seen that on a power armor.
It seems like Iron
It's
Man.
something new.
No, dude, it seems like Iron Man. It seems like
No,
they
I agree with you. That seems kind of Iron Man-y.
I think it just makes sense for how they can
Like when he like used like the flames or the propulsion out of his hands to like lift him away.
hold himself up. Yeah. It like makes sense, but yeah, it seems like they let Iron Man influence there. But whatever, it's still cool. Okay, next scene. We move on, and it's Lucy. We're back to Lucy, and she's basically traveling through the wasteland, and she gets
She's going to Philly.
Yeah, she's going to a town called Philly. That's the one where all that guy's family died. And I thought this scene was pretty sweet because like she goes through a forest, and there's like a bunch of like cars, and it's kind of like a junkyard. And then she like starts seeing people, and there's like these like street salesmen all over the place, and there's like street meat, and like it just seems like kind of like a junky little village kind of town. There's like ramshackle structures. And then like she like tries to talk to people, and no one talks to her. Once again, she's that optimist. She's that nice person that wants to talk with people, have those conversations. And it's in a vault suit, right? So it's pretty obvious who she is. It's pretty obvious that she's either killed the vault dweller or she is a vault dweller. And she's seeing like, it's basically just kind of, it reminds me of Mad Max kind of, and like the weird, there's like a dude that's literally entirely covered in baskets. There's just weird stuff around. There's like half-built like
It seems very
airplanes
Fallout
on top of things. Like a junk thrown together, buses, cars, street meat that you don't know what it is, creepy salesman.
People wearing like masks.
Well, I mean, if you understand what iguana on a stick and iguana bits really are, then you know.
And
It's lizards, right?
I was gonna say, but that one actually looks like for once like a lizard.
I know,
but,
which I
but
mean,
I do
I
know.
like what they understand.
I do know what they actually.
I
are.
like what they kind of hint at in like 3 New Vegas of like, oh, are you sure that's iguana?
Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Are you sure about that? But yeah, she goes. This is kind of an interesting entrance to a town. It's like a sewer pipe. She like walks through like a big pipe and walks out, and it's kind of like the Diamond City reveal, right?
Yeah, that's what it reminds. That are kind of like Megaton-ish.
I would say more Diamond City because it's got like kind of the more junkyard built buildings. Well, I guess Diamond City or Megaton does, but they're more like they don't have like circular. I don't know. It's weird.
But like the door to like Megaton sits a lot higher than like the actual town does, and then,
Yeah, and there's like a nuke in the middle of Megaton.
This town's kind of like sunken in.
But yeah, so town looks.
Um,
We think it's the ghoul because he's wearing gloves and he's like playing with bullets and stuff. But yeah, so the ghouls
those
here,
like bullet tips look like very shiny,
like tiny.
like very
Shiny.
red.
They look like little nukes, right? Like they look like little nuke
Yeah.
bullets. But we get a closer look at them in a second. So she's walking through, and
People are
she's
just
looking
fighting.
around.
People are just beating each other up. There's
Well, it's just the city, right? Like there's
It's just
stuff
town.
going down. The Brahmin I thought was pretty good. They made the Brahmin. Yep, they got the two-headed Brahmin. What other stuff? There was like a.
There is a Nuka-Cola sign at like the very beginning when she first walks in.
Yep, they have a Nuka-Cola reference.
She walks around. She looks at a storefront. She notices there's a Pit Boy sitting in front of it, and like a whole bunch of other like not Fallout,
Like
vault merchandise, vault stuff.
Yeah, so that's how she decides to go into this store. She sees a store and she's like, "This is the place," because there's some Vault Tech stuff. They got to know something about Vault people.
The cowboy's sitting across the street watching her the whole time.
So yeah,
which is kind of creepy.
He's kind of creepy. But yeah, so she goes into the store and she's looking around, and this is where we get to see a bobblehead.
Is he watching her or is he watching the scientist guy?
He's watching for the scientist guy, I'm pretty sure. He's waiting, right? So it seems like he's in town waiting for the scientist dude to show up, and he knows more than we know. Kind of like how the Brotherhood did. Like, obviously there's information being passed around this wasteland that's getting people to the right places. But we're kind of with Emily. It's, Emily. Is her real name, and it's Lucy, and I just combined them to Emily. Not even close. We're with Lucy.
Her real name's Ella.
Her real name's Ella Purnell. Yeah. So we're with Lucy, and she's kind of doesn't know anything, right? Like, she's kind of ignorant to the wasteland. She's got to learn the ways of the wasteland. So she walks into the store, sees Vault stuff, and thinks, I can ask you about Vault stuff. And then the lady at the counter is just great. She's just so abrasive, and she's just do we know her name? Did anybody catch her name?
Oh, so I had to do a little bit of digging of it. So we got Ma June is the merchant.
I love that. Ma June.
And then and then you got Barv.
Barv?
Barf.
Barf.
Barf, get in here.
It's like Barf from Spaceballs. Barf. But yeah, so she comes in, and Ma June's like, "You're a vault dweller," and starts yelling for Barv to come out here. And Lucy's trying to get her attention, and she's just yelling for Barv.
Well, yes, that. But before she walks in, she's sitting at the counter, and she walks up and she's like, "Hi, I noticed you have an assortment of Vault Tech stuff. Given that we're not in a vault, I'm assuming you acquired this stuff from criminals." Because that would be Vault Tech equipment.
Lucy does start some crap right out the gate. She's like, "I see you have vault stuff, and since you don't look authorized, I'm assuming you have dealings with criminals, which means you probably know the person that kidnapped my dad."
It's like, I don't have a problem with you dealings with criminals because it's tough out there, but that's
like
not
some deductive reasoning right there.
It's like, yeah, you're gonna stop me for it?
Insults the lady right away, but the lady's probably not even insulted because they've probably heard way worse. She's like, trying to get Barb's attention, and then Lucy says,
"If anything, I think the lady's kind of blown away, like taken aback by like, wow, you are a living, breathing relic of the past, like quite literally."
Yep, that's true. Old ways, old style, old laws, like, and Lucy's told that constantly that she's not meant to be where she is, right? The scientist told her, "You don't belong here, go home." And now she's gonna have this merchant lady tell her, "You're in the wrong place, go home."
And she's like, she hears that about 10 times this episode.
She's like, "Well, we're here to help people." And she's like, "Yeah." And the lady's like, "Yeah, when did you plan on helping people?" And she's like, "Yeah, eventually." And it's like, it's like
when we get to it.
And she's like, "You know what us people up here say about the vaults?" She's like, "What do you say about the vaults?" "Fuck the vaults."
right? And just like kind of throws it in her face that like, you know what? You may think that the vaults are everything, that the vaults are your life.
Like,
the
I'm
vaults,
glad you got to live a nice life. Look at
Right?
me. Look how great my life is up here.
But the vault was just a place for the rich people to hide while everybody else burned. Is what she says it straight to Lucy's face, and like,
Well, that's why she don't pretty much like her, because like if in the retrospect, she's the rich girl who got to live her nice, comfy life in a vault
well,
while
she's
everyone
just
else is.
ignorant. She's literally just ignorant of the world around her, and that's been
Well,
the
I
theme
know,
for her,
but that's like what she's saying.
pretty much. So she's calling Barv because she's
But
like, you
she's
gotta
calling
check out
Barb
this
because
vault dweller.
there's a vault dweller here, Barb.
There's a vault dweller here,
And
Barv.
at the same time, Lucy's kind of trying to like explain to Ma June, like, I'm looking for a lady about 9, in her 50s, quite possibly, and that's kind of when I things get real.
Well, she
real
drops her name. I
sour.
can't remember the name though. It's like
Mole digger or something like that.
Moldigger.
Moldaver.
Is that the bad guy's name? Is Moldigger? No way.
Moldaver.
Moldaver.
Moldaver. But yeah, so she drops Moldaver's name, and that kind of shuts down the whole conversation. So obviously,
And that's when she gets told, get the fuck out.
oh yeah, dude,
Go home.
Moldaver seems like business around here because like as soon as
No,
she drops
it
that,
seems more like you don't say like that name means
you don't say
something.
it's like Voldemort.
Yeah. You must not.
Yeah,
Don't
because like in Harry Potter, like you say Voldemort, people like pretty much just like quit what they're doing and like go away, and they're just like, no, go away.
Yep, they kind of just are like, I'm done. So
We don't.
she kind of shuts her down there and says basically, no, I ain't helping you at all. You're just a rich chick. I don't care about you. No one cares about the vaults. No one's going to help you. Forget your search. Get out of here.
Go home.
So I think what's cool about this is Lucy is hit a lot with like being told, go home, be done. What are you doing? And she's still persistent and she's still like facing the odds and facing some terrible odds. And she's still going. And I think that's I think Lucy's a really good character. I really like her character and kind of the vault dweller. They do a good job with the vault dweller kind of character. It's kind of an interesting conversation because Lucy's made to face the reality that no one really likes the vault dwellers. No one really thinks that they're going to save the world, and no one really cares what they're doing. Everyone's just kind of living.
See, and I feel like a good part of the scene is, and I don't mean painstakingly watching and like the mean of like, oh, it's hard to watch, but like having Lucy sit there struggling on how to tell this lady what the vault's objective is.
Right? How does she?
When it's very
justify it?
clear to her that like the objective of the vault has already failed.
Well, and Lucy, think about it. She found that poison this episode, made by Vault-Tec. She came out of the vault and saw people that were like dead trying to get in. She just had a bunch of people killed in front. Like she's been facing some terrible stuff, and this lady basically tells her, "Get out of here," and like even pulls a gun on her basically. And
You
is
don't
like, you're done.
belong here.
Yeah,
Flips her off and
go
toodles.
back to the vault. But Lucy's still persistent, and that's pretty cool. But she turns around. Lucy basically is like, okay, I will respect you because, you know, that's who I am. And she even like thanks her. She's like, thank you, and then leaves. And this is when the scientist shows up again. So we got kind of our characters coming together here. The scientist walks into town and happens to be going right to the exact store that Lucy is leaving. Kind of random. The lady knew about Moldover, and the scientist is going directly to the lady.
I think the dude says something to her in passing, like while walking into the store. I just can't quite remember what he says to her.
Well, he says he's like surprised she's still alive. So like he bumps into Lucy, right? Because they're going out there, and he's like, one, you should go home again. That's the first thing he starts with. And two, like, it's surprised she's survived this long. She talks about her dad again, and she's like, no one gets me. And then he lays out the law.
Now that I think about it, this is the point where he pops off on all that vault information about
Exactly.
33.
Right? He makes himself, like, how does he know all this information about the vault? Tells her exactly what her vault is about. Tells her how the people are. What they grow. What they're based off of. What their government's like. Guy just tells her
No,
everything
he even
about
tells
her
her
life.
that like your guys' projector screen showcases the Wisconsin countryside, and it's like,
Yeah, something super specific.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
It's Nebraska. I had to. You
yeah,
said
no,
that, and
no,
I'm like,
yeah,
wait a minute.
yeah,
So I
He says
googled it
Nebraska.
real quick, and
yeah.
it pulled up the scene.
Cornfield. Shows a cornfield.
But yeah, so calls her out and basically knows more about the vault than she thought anybody would. And she's just like, who are you? I think at this point, the ghoul who's sitting across the street stops him, right?
Oh, we finally get a name drop too, right here at this point, because I think Ma June calls him by his name.
What's his name? Do you know? Because I looked it
I
up.
want to say it's like Wilzer or
It's
something like
Wilzig.
that. I can't.
It's Wilzig. What a weird freaking name. So the scientist's name is Wilzig.
It's a German name. Saying.
It's a very German name. Ma June knows him. And that's even weirder.
Or not that maybe she knows him, more like that she's more like expecting him.
Yeah, it does seem like she's expecting him. But at this point, they get interrupted, and the cowboy shows up. The
By
ghoul.
yodeling vocalist every time that guy shows up on screen.
Which guy? What?
The ghoul every time he shows up on screen. You guys haven't noticed the yodeling that happens in the background?
No, I'm gonna have to listen. That's kind of like when you pull the which gun is that in New Vegas?
Sirius Magnum.
Yeah, and it like plays the noises. Exactly. So the ghoul shows up and is like, "Yo, I see you guys got that scientist. He's coming with me."
They're talking, and everyone's like peacing out because they're like,
They know something's about to go down. Which I thought this was
or
so
they know
cool.
who this ghoul, or they know of the ghoul, and they're just like, crap, this guy's.
Right, like
He just looks like trouble.
How you see Zorro coming to town, and you're just like, oh crap, it's this guy. You're like, oh
right,
shit.
you know there's gonna be some issues. So he shows up and he starts saying like that guy's coming with me, and the lady Moldover's like
And
talking
she's like,
crap,
hell he ain't.
and she's like, nah, he's not.
I paid a
And
lot
then-
of caps for him.
And then the ghoul blows off the scientist's foot with his gun. And at that point, people clear out hard. You got people running all around. And Ma June or whatever her name is like, anybody that can kill this cowboy.
I got 1,000
It's
caps for
1,000
whoever
caps.
kills this guy.
Exactly.
And that pretty much wrestles everybody. It's like, you want to see people jump? They're going to jump.
Well, you notice here, like, they've got the slow motion scenes again. And he starts basically, it's almost like he's got VATS, right? I feel like the slow motion is how they're trying to call into VATS. But everyone's kind of scared. And then they just all start shooting. He is hitting every single shot. And it's one hit kill. And those bullets got to be like what?
Those gotta be explosive
They
rounds
gotta
or
be
something.
something.
Dude, they are
They're
punching
blowing-
some holes in people.
They're blowing
Oh,
giant
wait.
holes.
Let me I'm gonna see if I can't look it up real quick.
Like what caliber they are?
Well, or if it's not like some sort of handcrafted round that he's using, because those are. I'm sorry. From how many times we rewatched this the other, they do not look like standard bullets.
look
they
like
have
mini
little
nukes.
fins on them on the very back end of
They
them.
look like little mini nuke bullets. That's what I was thinking.
So I'm wondering if it's like I don't want to say coin shot, but like a flechette round, or like I don't like pistol shotgun hybrid, or like something, you know.
I don't know. But they got explosive rounds, and they look like little mini nuke rounds. And he's just blowing the crap out of people. He's shooting 2 people at once. He's shooting everybody. It's going slow motion, following the bullet around, kind of like it does in VATS. So what was interesting about this fight, too, is like, while they're all shooting each other, doesn't the ghoul get shot? Like, I swear he gets shot during this.
Yeah, he gets shot a couple times.
Right? And he just, like, absorbs the bullets.
He's just
Like, he
like
doesn't
not
care.
even phased. He's just like, eh.
Right? So obviously he's gone through some stuff, and he's pretty badass. While this is happening, so like Linus, that's from Lost. No, Wilzig. They drag Wilzig back into the store, and he's got his like foot shot off.
Yeah, he's not doing good.
Then Lucy goes back into the store too, and she's like searching for stuff. The Raiders, like a pipe rifle or something. Like the Raiders,
They're
had,
out
like,
there shooting. He's like, one guy, like, you can tell one guy's got like a definitely handcrafted like pipe rifle. Very Fallout-ish.
right? And they're just like, he's like pinned on cover, but he's just reloading. He doesn't seem to care.
He's not like too worried. There's some guy like next to him who's like shot through the throat, and he's just like,
right? But like the ghoul doesn't care, and I think that's what makes the ghoul so cool. Is he's just like calm during the battle. And he's just moving.
It's like, so how's your day going over there, bud? And there's just guy's got a bullet through his throat. It's just
yeah, just dying. And friggin' Lucy's finding information. So she like goes back into the store because she knows that the lady knows about Moldover. And so she's like looking through stuff, looking through books and stuff for Moldover's name, any information. The ghoul starts still killing everybody. No one can seem to get him for that 1,000 bottle caps. What else happens? For the tomatoes? Why did I write for the tomatoes?
Oh, he tosses the bottle caps on the ground.
He's like sitting there eating some tomatoes mid battle, and he's just like throws the guy some. He's like, "Here's some bottle caps for the tomatoes."
Oh, that's what it was. I was like, what did I write down for the tomatoes for? He's just munching on tomatoes.
The dog jumps on him. He gets mauled a little bit.
Okay, yeah, you're right. So like, yeah, the oh yeah, because then he stabs the dog. Oh my gosh, he starts walking up on the store because he's killed everybody at this point, and he's gonna take the scientist, and then the dog comes out from nowhere and tackles him down, and he stabs the dog, which was so terrible. Like, this guy is the evilest of evil. But I mean, if a dog was mauling you, you'd probably stab the dog too, right?
Yeah, but sad for the dog.
Like sad dog moments. Then Lucy comes out, and we think Lucy's gonna take one of the weapons because she's looking at all the weapons in the store, and there's like I think there's a junk jet on the wall.
Yeah, what was on the very top? She was like looked up at something huge.
I think that was the junk jet that she looks at.
The junk jet.
The big old one, yeah. And so she's looking at all the weapons, but she doesn't come out with it.
Let me tell you though, when I'm like sitting there, like I was like looking at the weapons, I'm like, they all look really well done. Like,
right, they look used, but they look like good. They don't look cheap.
Prop team did good.
I think they had like a plasma rifle. I think they had like
they had a few different guns. That was cool.
A rifle, probably a hunting rifle. But yeah, Lucy comes out and she plays into her peaceful role, and she goes, "Hey, please stand down." Basically, she's like, I'm gonna try and negotiate with you here. And so she tries to negotiate with him, and it doesn't really go well. She's like, "You seem to be the aggressor. Obviously, I'm gonna take his side to defend him. Please don't attack us. Be chill about this. I don't want to start a fight." And he kind of like laughs at her and starts walking forward, and she shoots him with her syringer gun and gets him with a dart. Then Max shows up. So this is great because we don't know where Max is going, but she darts him. Oh, that's right. When she darts him, he's not even affected. And he says like, "That's a small drop in a big drop of drugs." He's like, basically like, "I've done so much Jet. I've done so much Psycho. I've done all these drugs, like Mentats. Like, that's nothing. Like, you can't put me out that easy." So that was kind of funny. And then Max shows up, and he's in his power armor, and he immediately takes the side of the vault dweller, that's like seems defenseless against the dirty cowboy.
Yeah, but like how you brought back to the subject earlier, like when like they kind of were like outside, like the Yagwai cave, and it's like Max just kind of like shows up here. It's like, how did
Right. I feel like Max definitely shows up to the right locations. I think they were trying to come to the town. I think that was the goal. But I don't know, it's weird. He's definitely got like a
like the way like the other like Lucy's getting there by like trying to find her dad. The ghoul's there because he's like waiting for the guy, and it's like he's looking for the guy, but it's like how like I don't know.
He's just lucky.
No, the ghoul seems like he's smart. He probably had connections that led him to here, knowing that this guy would show up because he probably knew that Ma June was a contact of Moldover. So they probably know more than we know, right? And that's kind of the thing, is we're still with Lucy on knowledge. We don't know anything. Max shows up and like jumps in front of some bullets, saves Lucy by like diving into a house and like grabbing her. And then so she feels like he's a hero, right? He saved her. So she immediately likes him, and Max goes to fight the ghoul, starts throwing punches and stuff. I think at one point he does punch the ghoul, and you see the power of the power armor, like shoots the ghoul over, and he like smashes into like some stairs. And this part's actually pretty funny because like when he smashes into the stairs, like he's like trying to catch up to him. The ghoul goes up the stairs and is like, you can't get up here in your stairs or in your power armor. You can't climb the stairs. That was pretty funny. And then meanwhile, back in the hut, they get this is when they drag Wilzig inside. That's what happens. They drag Wilzig inside, and the Ma June goes around and finds a like, it's like a tube or something. Like, what is this like? What would you guys call it? I haven't seen this in any of the Fallout games.
It kind of looks like a big thermos.
It looks
When
like
I
a
first saw it.
meat grinder.
Yeah, or like a blender, like the bottom part of a blender.
Yeah, and basically they sit Wilzig down, and she takes this blender grinder thing and just blends the crap out of Wilzig's leg and like shoves this thing up his leg. So it's like cutting up his leg. Just some of the most brutal treatments ever. And Barb's just like, here you go, and like handing it out and walking around. It's just, oh my gosh, this scene hurt my legs. I did not like seeing his leg get grinded and all the blood spurting out, and like very gory. This show is very gory, just like the games.
Honestly, Lucy kind of takes it not
Pretty-
well, but like she just kind of okay. This is another thing that's happening
Dude, I
above
feel
ground.
like she's just kind of stumbling through that, right? Because like she's seen all this crap so far, and like it just keeps getting worse. And she's just like, "This is fine.
Okie doke.
This is fine." Like she keeps going, but it turns out it's like a foot thing. So they grind it onto his leg, and they slap a foot on there. They spin it on, and now he has a robo foot. That's got to be the most unsanitary robo foot you've ever gotten.
Yeah,
That thing's got to be so bad.
and they don't even know where they're keeping it. They're just like it was somewhere around here.
And then you got Lucy's like there, and she's like, doesn't Wilzig's supposed to go meet Moldover? That's kind of what we find out during this conversation. So they're grinding on the foot and everything. That's what Wilzig is like. I need to go meet Moldover, and Ma June's like, you can't go anywhere. You're gonna be lucky to make it to tomorrow morning. And he's like, well, Lucy can take me. And Lucy's like, what? And Wilzig's like, yeah, just Lucy will take me. I believe in her. She's a vault dweller. It'll be fine. And he like takes some convincing, but he kind of convinces Moldover that that's what needs to happen.
Or
And then they both,
Majun.
or Majun. I keep calling her Moldover, Majun, all these names. So Majun and Wilzig turn to Lucy, and they're like, okay, you're gonna take him. She's like, no, what? No, I just want to find my dad. And Majun's like, well, you want to go meet Moldover? This is how you get a face-to-face with Moldover. And so Lucy doesn't want to, is kind of begrudging, but she does take it and says, like, fine, I will take him and get him there. They're hearing gunfire still. It sounds like Maximus and the ghoul are still fighting and everything. She's basically just like, at this point, we got to go. And this is cool. There's a part with the Pip-Boy scene here where they, like, Ma June, like, puts in the coordinates into her Pip-Boy, and it kind of tells you, like, that's how she knows where to go. I thought that was cool. I love all the use of the Pip-Boy.
Like the fact though that Ma June knows how to me use a Pip-Boy.
Well, doesn't she have a
That's
Pip-Boy?
true. She immediately puts in I mean, she has one.
Yeah, isn't there one in the window?
It's a different one, but she still
Okay.
has one.
Yes, I mean they all kind of work the same, probably input and coordinates, but it's like it's more like still though, like that she like has like sure you may have it, but you may have a lot of things and never know how it works.
True.
That's true.
We're lazy. But in the Wasteland, it's kind of tinkering is your thing, and especially if you're owning a shop with a bunch of random stuff in it.
She wants to know what
You
it's
probably
for.
tinker.
Yeah, but she's more in the business of just selling things, so I could also see where she could care less. But
I don't
Who
know.
knows,
She
man?
knows how
She
to
knows-
drill that guy's foot.
who knows?
She learned that from her medicine magazine. Lucy agrees, and they're gonna leave. Then it flashes back to the fight. The ghoul's standing on like the balcony because he's up on the stairs. Max like punches out the board here. I thought this was pretty cool. I wonder how many times they had to like rebuild the set to do these scenes. They had basically an action actor in the power armor. They were kind of tossing the ghoul around quite a bit into stuff, which is like, okay, did you have a stunt guy for that? Like, how did they film that? I don't know. I'm very curious. I hope they do some type of behind the scenes on the fights with the power armor and everything, and stuff like that. But yeah, so they're doing the fight, and Lucy's just dipping. And this is where they do the Iron Man flying, right? They do the rocket stuff, and that's where we actually get to see the power armor actually fly.
And then he gets his big old foot stuck in the ground when he lands.
Right? He like flies 10 feet and then lands and gets his foot stuck in the ground. So he's stuck, and the ghoul's like, ooh, look at this, right? Like kind of rubs it in his face that he was dumb. Kind of gets like just out of reach of the power armor. Maximus is like swinging at him and stuff.
Like, you don't even know how to fly your big old shopping cart.
Yeah, right. And the ghoul goes behind him and basically pops one of his like air gaskets or something. And it kind of like throws the whole power armor into like a whack. Like it's like it's like equilibrium's all of a sudden broken or something. It's not looking good for Maximus all of a sudden. His power armor sucks. And the ghoul's kind of just like playing with him at this point. So he tries to fly away.
It's like, oh no, you don't, boy.
Yeah. Well, we've got the lasso guy, right? Like we pretty much know this is the guy from the beginning, right? That was doing the lasso cowboy stuff. And he uses like a crane hook or something.
He uses a tow truck.
Yeah, a tow truck hook. He lassos Maximus and like makes him crash into something. And then Maximus crashes again into something else. And then Maximus like blasts off way off into the sky. And so like blasting off again, like freaking Team Rocket or something. And then it flashes back to Lucy, who like they're kind of farther, but they do see the power armor dude like fly over the top. It seems like Lucy thinks that means he won.
I thought it was funny that like when Lucy was walking by between them, there's that dude who was like having sex with the chickens, and now he's like trying to sell some like random serums in town.
Oh no, what?
And then they're walking by, and he like notices that his foot's messed up, and he's like, "Serums for your foot, serums to make you feel better."
He's just like a snake oil salesman.
Serums for growing back feet.
Yeah. But yeah, so after that, after they fly over, Lucy moves away. They're doing like quick scenes here. It's kind of interesting because everybody came together. You see where Maximus lands, and he lands like literally next to the outhouses. Like he lands in poop. Like he has been defeated at an all-time low. His armor's broken, and he's in poop.
He's feeling quite shit.
So the symbolism there was pretty good. But then we flash back again to the ghoul. And at this point, the ghoul is like, well, he's not fighting the guy anymore. So he goes in the store and he's looking for Lucy and he's trying to figure out what happened. Kind of looks around and he sees all the blood and all the stuff from like the leg thing. And he kind of realizes, okay, well, this is how I'm going to track him then because this guy's going to be bleeding. And while he's doing that, I think he hears the dog. Like the dog's not dead. He goes over and I think he stim packs the dog. And I think he's going to use the dog to track the blood to find Wilzik.
As he's walking out of the store, if you happen to pause quickly on the frame, you can see a sign literally on the front that says, "We trade caps only," which kind of goes to show the NCR currency, whether the NCR Republic, the New California Republic, does or does not exist right now at this point in events. It goes to show that their money is not accepted here, and the only viable currency is caps and only caps, at least at this store.
I was explaining that to my grandma. She's like, "What are they trading each other?" I'm like, "Oh, grandma, those are bottle caps." And she's like, "That's their currency?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she just started laughing.
Cool though, like it's a different idea. It seems like you'd be able to like just make bottle caps, but I guess it's still kind of like rare. You got to find them. I don't know.
You can't make them either, because there's a whole quest about that in Fallout New Vegas where you have to destroy a bottle cap printing press.
Oh, you gotta go like wreck it so there's no counterfeit bottle caps.
Yep.
I don't remember that. I'm gonna have to go play it again. Darn, I have to play New Vegas again. But
oh no.
Oh no.
Yep. So the ghoul's leaving. He sees the dog, and that's when he, like I said, he gets the idea. Stim packs him, heals the dog, and sets out. And basically, nighttime falls.
I like how fast stim packs fix whatever.
Yeah, that dog got stabbed and
like no, it's fine, dude.
No, that's why I'm like. That's why I like. That's why I like how good they like make the stim pack. Like, yep, he's back to normal. Just fixed him right up. He's good to go.
It's pretty sweet for a show too, right? Because you could be like, somebody could get horrifically damaged.
Lucy got stabbed.
Sorry, When that scene was going, before I got lined up for the next one, I just wanted to see if there wasn't any other things I couldn't notice from like it doing an aerial view of the town. Because you'd think a good aerial shot like that, you'd be able to see a little more details of like something we might not have seen, but there's nothing that really stuck out to me. I was kind of hoping maybe we'd see like a sunset sarsaparilla,
That
like
would be a cool callback.
bottle sign or something, but no, nothing.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more, but yeah, I didn't see anything for that so far. Yep, so night falls, Ghoul leaves, and then we are on to Lucy and Wilzig. They're crossing like basically the empty desert, and it feels like they crossed a lot of ground. I mean, I think that the dog must have taken longer to heal than we thought, even with the stim
Yeah.
pack. Because like night fell for the Ghoul, but it's daytime now for Lucy and Wilzig.
One thing that I will say is
Why did you say it
kind of
was
cool
nighttime?
is the immediate shot after it shows them in the desert of the like old Soviet crashed. I'm going to assume that's a satellite, but it kind of goes to confirm that the Soviet Union does exist in the Fallout universe as well.
Yeah, no, this is a pretty cool call to like the Soviets, and they have like the satellite, they have planes, they have like stuff crashed out in the middle of this desert, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's definitely the Lost and like yeah, they're not just walking through anywhere when they see that crash satellite. They're walking through the Los Angeles airfield.
Yeah, I was going to say that definitely looks like LAX off to the side there.
Yeah, like in
Modified,
the background.
but
Yeah, because I remember that art style from just like GTA, and that's definitely the LA.
LAX is like what is that called? Like whatever that structure is. Yep. So they're walking off in the middle of the desert, and they see like LAX in the background, and they see this satellite, and it's a Soviet satellite, and they decide to sit down here and take a rest. I thought the robot leg looked pretty good, though. I think they did a pretty solid job. What was really weird about it is like when he's walking, you don't see any blood on it, but then he like sits down all of a sudden, and there's just a crap ton of blood, and it's like all over.
I'm not going to make
But
it.
yeah, basically, Wilzig's like, listen, I'm not going to make it. My leg's not doing too hot.
Lucy's sitting there trying to like tell him, you don't know that, you know.
She's still being the
We're gonna
optimist.
get you there.
Dude, her character through and through is pretty solid. She just is like always the optimist, like, you're going to make it.
Like, I
And then
promise
he's
I'm
like,
gonna get you there, and he's like, "No, you don't understand. I just took a cyanide pill. I ain't going nowhere."
yeah, he's like, I took the decision out of your hands. It's just go time.
Vault-Tec Plan D is what I took.
You know, essentially, like at the very end of this, I can only imagine what it's like for Courier 6 to have 3 different Fiend leaders' heads in his inventory before you go give them to the NCR. Like, oh, that's exactly what this looks like then. Okay, cool.
Yeah. No, there's some stuff you carry in your inventory that's
Fingers, ears, brains, heads.
right. It's like
heart,
Courier's a
spine.
psychopath, man. Like, but yeah. So Wilson takes a cyanide pill and is basically like, "Don't worry about it. I just need you to take my head to Moldover." And he pulls out like a saw blade.
I'm gonna assume that's a ripper.
Yeah, he pulls out like a ripper, right? Like he pulls out a ripper from the games and hands it to her and says, like, I know you can do this. You're a vault dweller. I believe in you, Lucy, is what he says. Like, basically, he knows her. She never gave him his name. He knows about her vault that she was in. He knows her name. He knows how they live. Like, he just knows everything about their, like, it's crazy, right? Because, like, I feel like, so this kind of brings into my theory. I'm thinking that we have a couple situations here. We got Vault 31, 2, and 3, right? Obviously, Vault 32 is the one that's been most untouched by outside presence, it feels like. Feels like those guys are super isolated. But then you got Vault 31 and 3, and Vault 33 was the real, or am I mixing 32 and 33 up? Is 33 the fine one? That was the one Lucy was in?
33 was the one.
Yes, 32 looked
32 was
for
messed
the
up.
brief minute that we saw it in episode 1, it looked pretty
Messed up, right? Like the Raiders got in.
Yeah.
So obviously there's been access to the outside world in these vaults, right? And they kind of knew about Raiders, like Lucy said Raiders. So either they heard stories from the other two vaults or they knew something. Not only that, the overseer seems to know Moldover. There's history there that we don't know about. And then they also kind of imply that Wilzig knows all these people, knows Moldo.
Because he does a name drop, but it's not Lucy's name. He straight up calls her by her last name.
Yeah, McLean, Lucy McLean, Miss McLean or something. You're right. So like he knows.
Does that mean they're related to Bruce Willis in the Die Hard movie?
Exactly. He knows that Lucy's related to Bruce Willis. Classic movie. Great Christmas movie, you know? Anyway. So it's kind of interesting. I think that he either worked for Vault-Tec and was in one of those vaults, or yeah, that's kind of basically
I think he monitored the vaults from above.
Right, he could have monitored it. Moldover could have been monitoring. The Overseer could have been monitoring, right? Her dad, Lucy's dad. So, like, they all seem to know each other. There seems to be some history that we aren't aware of. And I think that's what's really, that's like my biggest curiosity in this is like, what was the vault experiment like? Because it's kind of unraveling that there's more to it, right? There's more layers to what's going on. I think that's pretty sweet. But that's what I think. So I don't think he's part of the Enclave. I think he actually like got into the Enclave as a scientist to steal this tech eventually, to figure it out, and then bring it out of the Enclave's hands.
Right before the shootout in the middle of Philly, the Ghoul mentions that there is a telegram that came across all 6 agencies for an Enclave defector. Which is why I'm sitting there saying he's Enclave. Like, they have confirmed that he is Enclave.
Start Enclave, right? Like, if they find scientists they like, they will be like, be part of the Enclave.
It's not by choice.
No.
It is never by choice with the Enclave. You work for them or you die.
Exactly. So, like, if he was a Vault-Tec scientist, you'd want him working for the Enclave.
And we saw all the guards there, which, like, so you guys are working for us, and if you don't, like, he was trying to leave. Well, it's either you work or die, so, like you kind of said.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess here's my thing, though. What interest does Vault-Tec have for dogs? I could see that being more of a military thing, i.e. the Enclave. But what does Vault-Tec want to do with dogs?
Sure, they don't. But, like, the Vault-Tec did do experiments with the military, with dogs in Fallout. Like, that is a thing
and Brain.
they did.
And I mean, that's kind of what it seems like, is they're training.
They could be working together, or they could be held hostage. That's why I'm curious to see how this goes.
Yeah. No, I think there's a lot of questions, and it's fun to be able to make all these assumptions and try and figure it out. But that's kind of what I think. So he takes the cyanide pill and hands her the saw, tells her he believes in her, tells her he knows her name. And she's like, "Who are you? How do you know me?" And he just doesn't say anything and then dies. And she's kind of like stunned and looking at the saw and kind of walking around. And then she does her classic okie dokie. And then it like ends. And that's the end of the episode. And I just think this episode was really solid with how it built up all these characters. It brought them together at a point, right? They all kind of meet each other. Personalities conflict. A lot more questions are raised all of a sudden. We're all of a sudden wondering, like, how is this guy involved in the Enclave? What's the thing that he needs to transfer? Why is, like, the Ghoul, like, how did everybody know exactly where they were? Maximus now has armor. There was a lot of stuff that happened in this episode. A lot of character building and a lot of showing who the characters are. So let's go ahead and do ratings for the episode. Let's start with Snicker. How you doing? You've been quiet this whole time, but what do you think about
you guys are dropping so much Fallout lore on me. I'm over here taking notes, writing everything down. Honestly, last episode I gave it 8. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a 10.
Really?
I thought it was really well done. You know, every character had, you know, significant screen time that also entertained me. Unlike previous episode where Maximus, it was just kind of introducing the Brotherhood. You kind of got to see him in his element where he gets his power armor. He kind of realizes, you know, I'm going to be the knight that the other guy wasn't, and him kind of just learning. And honestly, my favorite scene is just him kicking that rock through the building and just being like, this thing is so cool.
Right, so powerful.
It's got so much power. But yeah, and then it leaves you on a cliffhanger, and it's funny. There were so many funny moments during the episode. It's that blend of the dark Wilsig's got his leg getting amputated and there's blood everywhere. It's gross, but then also he's like, taking cyanide pills. He's like, this was a really great product. I don't know why it didn't sell better. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I'll give it a 10. I really enjoyed this one.
I like how they called the cyanide pill Plan D. It's like, all right, well, if Plan A fails, there's Plan C, D, E, F, G. Don't worry, we got all the bases covered.
I don't think it's gonna get past Plan D, right? Like,
well, Plan C was like liquid cyanide or whatever was in that bottle.
it's the end game plan.
What's this? This is checkmate.
Dev Ninja, what was your rating of the show? What do you think of this one? This episode 2?
Oh, I think I'll give it an 8.
8 out of 10. All right. Why do you give it an 8 out of 10?
I don't know. I guess there's just a couple of times where, like, throughout the episode, I could kind of just, like, look away and not be too upset that I was kind of missing what was going on. But that also probably doesn't help that we watched it, like, 4 other times the other day.
We watched it, like, 6 times.
Yeah, so it's just like, first watching it was, like, good 9 out of 10, like, great show, loved it. It's just rewatching it, trying to, like, scan through it for all the finite details. I'm sitting there going, there's a lot of, like, small details you really got to pay attention to.
Oh, yeah. No, like, rewatching this episode with the dog scene, it was really fast the first time. I didn't know why they were burning the dogs. I didn't know, I was like, why? Okay, fried that dog. Wait, grab that dog, left the room. Like, it was a whirlwind of information at your face. So, yeah, it's a lot to absorb. And I think for us, we want to find all the little, breadcrumbs and all the little, form our theories and stuff and find the Easter eggs. And there's a lot. There's, a vault boy. There's a bobblehead in this one. There's just tons of stuff. I could see that at 8 out of 10. It's almost like they crammed too much in there. And so, I don't know, hard to absorb everything. All right, Banana, then what did you think? Episode 2, what is your rating?
I think it was a 9.
9 out of 10?
Yeah.
Okay. What would have made it a 10 out of 10 for you?
I just, didn't like the holes between, what was going on with the Brotherhood and Titus, and I felt like there was, just a lot of holes in area that, could have been, I don't know, more worked out with that.
Wanted them to take more of their time, or?
No, just to me, the whole fight scene when, because he lands, he's like, I want to go kill things, runs across the bear. It's like, my God, you haven't ran across a bear before? What are you, new?
Yeah, and then he gets his ass beat. It was kind of disappointing.
You're just more, disappointed in Titus.
Yes.
Because, you look at the Brotherhood and it's like, dude, these guys are cool. And it's like, you couldn't fight a bear.
You couldn't fight a bear?
And then, the whole time he's just sitting there and, I didn't mind it, but I just felt like they were going a little hard with just being dicks to Maximus.
Yeah. No, they really laid it on thick at that point.
But then I also didn't like where how it left where it's like, did he kill him? Did he just die?
You wanted to know.
Yeah.
I kind of like not knowing, honestly.
Well, it'll determine if I liked Maximus better as a character. Because I find him now kind of shady.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Well, we talked about the 3 pillars of the show, right? And he's kind of the neutral one. And he kind of does what he needs to do to survive. And it seemed like he was a kid in the wasteland. So I feel like he's kind of lived that type of way. Lucy hasn't, so she's always morally good. And the ghoul did grow up normal, but obviously has been hardened over time by the wasteland. I think there's a lot of moral questions that are put into play here. Should he have let him die even though he was a dick? Should he have done this, right? But yeah, okay, I could see a 9 out of 10 points off for that. I think for me, it's an 8 out of 10. I'm going with 8 out of 10. I just don't get going through it as many times as we went through it. I don't understand why they did the scene where the scientist finds the cave, and then right after that scene, they do the scene where the Brotherhood finds the cave. And they could have just put the other scene in between it. I think it was the scene with Lucy. They could have just put that in between and then alternated it, and it would have been fine.
Yeah, I think if like you said, if they would have explained it where almost the Brotherhood dude was there first, and then the scientist dude showed up.
No, that wouldn't make sense though, because they're tracking the scientist dude. It should have been the scientist dude shows up, then it goes to a completely different scene with Lucy doing what she was doing, and then it would come back and the Brotherhood would show up to the cave. But they literally did the scientist at the cave and then the Brotherhood at the cave. And they showed a little bit of a sun moving over some landscape to show time passing. But it just didn't, it seemed too quick for me. I just thought it was there's no way that they got dropped out on the way to a town that they all think he's going to. and they happened to be close to like right where the guy was. I don't know. It just seemed weird. The continuity didn't seem right there. But yeah, Maximus seems to just always turn up right in time too. And I know he's got like the tracker and his like power armor, but it does seem like it's a little tropey. They got the tropes in there. And I think that's okay, but they could have switched the scene and it would have been fine. So that's where my 2 points come off. Otherwise, fantastic episode, hilarious episode, great scenes, great character building, great acting. Man, I thought Wilzig was going to last longer. He was done this episode.
No, I like how they killed him off so quick. He's like, "Nah, bro, it's over for me."
He killed himself off. He was like, "I'm taking the side, Bill. I'm out." Pretty good cutscenes there. There's a yeah, I don't know. I think it was filmed pretty great. The areas they chose, the town looked fantastic. Looked like a junk town. Looked like Diamond City. Good weapons in there. We got a lot of weapons shown, which was cool. We got to see a bobblehead. I wonder how many bobbleheads are in the show. I bet you somebody's trying to count them all. I think 2 so far. I think we missed talking about one in the first episode, right?
We talked about the one in the first episode. I made sure to point it out.
Okay, yeah. So we got 2 bobbleheads so far. So I bet you there's a bobblehead per episode. I think that'd be something that Fallout does, but pretty solid. So I can't do the math on this. Nick, you're a 10 out of 10. Dab and I are an 8 out of 10. And we got Bananas a 9. So that'd be like
Comes out a little under a 9.
8.5 or something? 8.7?
Yeah. Which you guys are just messing with me because I was the only one that gave it an 8 last time. I'm the one that gave
And now you're giving it a 10.
You guys are like, no, this wasn't actually a good episode.
You know what's funny?
You just like the chicken scene.
Next week, I'm already rating the next week's episode out of 10.
Dude, episode 3, we've obviously already watched ahead. We'll do the breakdown, don't worry, but we're pretty pumped for episode 3 because that episode is really good. So
I loved 3 a lot.
3 was good. I think Banana and I are the only one to watch it. We won't say no more, but you guys are gonna love episode 3. It's pretty solid. But okay, well, we're gonna wrap it up here, guys. I think we're going with an 8.7, which is disgusting. So we'll probably more call this one an 8. I think just for the points overall, and because Nick doesn't know what Fallout is. But anyway, go ahead, 8 out of 10. The Target. So thanks for coming. Like, subscribe, ding the bell. Come hang out with us in Discord. We post all of our Fallout stuff there. We're trying to have more conversations there. And thanks for jumping on the journey with us. This is going to be the whole series. So we've got 6 more episodes to go. We're pumped. We're loving it. As always, become the best you can be. What do we want to become today? You want to become Okage? Become Okage. Believe it.